thing like translator to time translator.
You're just
So-
like, whatever.
and we
time's
have daylight.
fluid.
Do you guys have daylight savings in Europe?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then on top of that, my game against the Germans, the guy was an hour late because he had like seen like he thought it was sometime, but we set up the game and then daylight savings happened in between when we scheduled the game and then the actual game happened. So like my time zone changed. So like he was like an hour late to the game.
And I like
was
that
like, oh my
you,
God.
it's like you rock up ready for it, and you're like, yeah, and then it's just like your opponent turns up an hour later and is like, damn right, I'm ready to go, and you're like, oh, daylight savings, you bastard! I shot my load too early and I started drinking, which is entirely what happened to me at Sydney Slaughter one year. I had a really good plan. For how to, and I was like, I've got this in the bag. Hell yeah. I went to the bar, I got a drink, I came back, and in the course of going to the bar and coming back, I ruined that plan spectacularly. I shit the bed, I lost the game, and afterwards I was chatting to my opponent, who was Dan Brewer, like beautiful Dan, Tomb King Dan, and I was like, yeah, this was my plan, and he was like, oh, that was a really good plan. That would have won the game. And I was like, yeah. He's like, why didn't you do that? And I was like, I don't know. I think I got a beer instead. I thought, bugger the game, just get a drink. Speaking of which.
Nice.
Right. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the show. These two.
Oh no!
I didn't know if any of that.
We've
I
been
thought that
live.
was all okay.
I was watching Twitch and I was like, oh wow, we've been live for like 3 minutes.
So welcome to. Well, I really enjoy this. This is the tail end of the show, but also the tail end of this. Dan's half cut. But like on the good end of the half cut, Jim's half cut on the bad end of the half cut. Like, so we're at polar ends there. But one of the things. Oh, and Tom has joined us as well. He's decided he wants to join in.
Honorary Canadian Tom.
I'm real Canadian. It's amazing how many Canadians we have on the show. Actually, like Dan, Jim, Bud, Dave,
so many.
me. We're everywhere, man. You can't stop us.
Well, we just found out Dan lives like 2 blocks away from me. We just found out.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
literally,
we're both in Vancouver, and I was like, "Where do you live?" He's like, "Well, I won't say it, but I don't want to dox him." But I was like, "Oh, I'm like 3 blocks away."
There you go. You
There
can
you
let's
go.
play AOS again, Jim. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Seeing-
No, well, now I've been keen to jump back on and learn a little bit of 40k War Dollies, so I think
I
that's
don't
the happy
know, man.
place.
You want to do that after
There
you
you
saw
go.
what Germany did to Canada.
Okay.
Oh wow, some smack talk at the moment.
To be fair, we'd also get rolled by
to be-
Germany, so you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to be fair, I think I need to learn how to play 40k too. So
So what
we can learn together.
What exactly
Okay.
happened with you guys? Give us
Okay,
a full story, Jim.
Look, I can only speak to my game because at that point I was like, so after my game I was like dejected enough that I could barely watch any of their games on stream. But first of all, it's important. Like I think personally, like I think I said in chat, I think in our eyes we thought the pairings went better than they did. But also like the Germans are fucking good. Like those guys are good players.
The only
And like
team that triple back to back to the WTC.
yeah, and like the thing is like we have not like, and I'm just speaking to like our WTC team, like being very honest, most of us just got into TTS like probably in like December. And I think that was probably my 10th game of TTS, like my 11th game of 9th edition, right?
Okay.
So like just in general, the level of experience there's a huge gap there. Again, I think they outplayed us in general. So I think even the matchups that we thought should have been ours, they outplayed us badly in those. And then in the ones that shouldn't have been ours, they outplayed us even more. So like I just think they outplayed us like on the table, to be honest.
On that's still fantastic experience though, because you're still only able to play like what's around you, right? So let's say so this is an extreme example because it's not correct because you guys are all solid players, but let's say I'm living in like, let's say Kent because it's just stuck out in the middle of nowhere, or Cornwall or something, right? And I can only play the people that are around me. I will only get a limited amount of practice. You're still practicing the matchup and you're still learning, but it's not the same as going and playing one of the best teams in the world with players who efficiently drill this consistently and seeing how they play it. And also it means when you watch, like you were playing on Defcon, what did you pair up against?
I played against Ravenguard Ultramarines, which I actually thought that was so I think if I go
a good
first,
list, that. I like it.
Okay, so I'll tell you where my miscalculation in that match. I looked at the list. I didn't look at the mission. So when I was thinking about how my game would go, I didn't even really look at the mission till like
It's a very
like an
swingy
hour before the game, and I was like, okay, what's the mission? And I was like, oh crap. So like I was like, oh, like I knew it was a 2 for 5, 3 for 10, but I
Yeah.
didn't realize it was one of the ones where you can move off the objective after. Sorry, I see you're praying, Rob. I see you want to. There's someone gifting subs, so
There is. I just wanted to say thank you, but like, no, I was listening to you, and I would compliment after. I need to thank both Jacob Berry for donating 5 gift subscription, which is super kind, and also MJ Pegasus for donating 5 gift subscriptions, which is again incredibly kind. You're all wonderful people. Also, I think that breaks a barrier that I know that we were on, where we can unlock one more emote, and I feel like it. I don't feel like one more emote is quite enough, like a compliment to you guys for donating the subscriptions, but appreciated so much. You're amazing. Good night, Jacob Berry. Loads of love. Go be a dad. Thank you very much. You're all great.
I guess my point is, Jim, but you can now go to your Marine player and say, hey, this is what he did differently to when I practiced against you.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, he actually, in practice, I did a like a quick practice match, and I was like, hey, you go first, because that's the worst case scenario for me, and let's play just the first 3 turns. The other thing too, and I think this is a big thing, is we all, and I don't know if the Germans did this because I didn't actually pay attention. Almost everyone changed their lists.
Yeah,
going into this third round.
Yeah,
and like I didn't even like. I'm still making 8th edition moves that are like I'm not allowed to do. I was like,
so I was like,
completely different game so when I talk about skill level, that's kind of what I was talking about, and then also just not understanding how to play those games. But when I guess when I look at like the actual list, my specific matchup, I actually think that my Death Guard can take that list. It has the tools to do it, and in maybe a different scenario, I think I could win that game. The thing is, I miscalculated on the scenario, and I made lots of mistakes, and he played a very perfect game. And I mean, it didn't help that I picked an illegal secondary that I only discovered after the game was over. So that cost me going from a 17-3 to a 19-1.
No, stop!
Yeah.
Oh my God! What's happening?
Yeah, but
so
chat spam more, because these gifted subs are getting in the way. Please, can you just yeah.
So thank you to Jacob Berry for donating 2 lots of 10, therefore 20 gift subscriptions in a row, and then Eyeglasses, who's just done the same, and then Jacob Berry has done the stop it. Like, it's ridiculous.
Okay,
I don't know.
So I fill the chat with foreheads, please. Thank you.
No,
I think what's happening is that they all want to be like the king of the donate-a-thon. That's exactly the way to do it, is to fight for Rob's approval. You didn't hear it, but off air,
approval.
He said he would only love one of the members of the chat, and he specifically said it was who never donated.
That's not the case. I appreciate it so much. I really enjoy that they were in for Jim and Tom's like deep tech 40k chat at that point. That's what they were subbing for. That's what they were subbing for.
By the way, it's really interesting because it's one of those where you can go first, but if you don't, you just redeploy the entire thing. It's so flexible. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
But I just think I think, as I said, like I actually don't think that was a bad matchup for me. I just think the mission was not a great mission for me, and
it's a bad matchup
once you fall behind in that mission, it's so hard to come back. Yeah. It's like if you don't get on those objectives turn 1 and take away those, which is very hard for my army to do, then it just it's like a snowball, because it's not just about getting on them, you have to take them back, right? So even if you contest, they still get to hold it.
So you can't go if you're just going to insta die, because if you start trading down in that mission, you are done.
Yeah,
it's so bad. It's just such a snowball.
What is happening?
Stop it, Jacob Berry, you're drunk. Yeah, and Joe Biden isn't giving you that much money. That's not what's happening.
Give us the stimulus checks.
Thanks, Jacob, for another 10 gift subscriptions, and also to Joe Cryer for another 5. He just wants that stimmy. Stimmy is just given.
Thanks, Mr. Biden. Thank you very much.
Jim, there's loads of really fun stuff you could talk about when it comes to 40k, but I wanted to ask you some of our questions that I've asked all the other hosts. Tom and Dan
have been watching all day, so I feel like I've been cheating / preparing for this.
Okay, that's fine.
Which is good, because apparently you're under the weather. So, let's just lowball it, nice and quiet, no loud noises.
Make it easy.
That's why me and Dan are here, for no loud noises.
Yeah, we're just gonna sit here. We're gonna sing you a little bit of some kind of jazz pop thing, just to let you cruise on in there. Like maybe the sound of an ocean breeze.
Okay, perfect.
Can I just thank Jacob a lot, because not only does Jacob donated a load of gift subscriptions, but Jacob also, this is a little secret most people don't know, at some points over the past couple of years it's been a bit rough money wise my end, and so Jacob very kindly has set me up a jam subscription, so once a month I get a box of jams. Really good.
Yeah, like fruit jam.
Like fruit jams. Yeah, if you would like, I will do a live jam unboxing.
Sorry, I just want to confirm that's not shitting around. That's legit. Like he sent, like you always have jam.
Always have jam. You can't. I will do it right now, and I will tell you my jams as a thank you to Jacob for all the gift subscriptions. I don't want to override the show too much. I would like to hear all of your thoughts and points from the co-hosts, but I will quickly.
But only jams is important.
I will quickly tell you which jams I've got this month. As you can see, this is important. Can you see that I get a little...
We get a spoon.
Oh.
With a love heart.
It's like you get that plastic fork in the Tesco meal deals. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'll quickly let you know.
This is the content we're here for, the jams. Yeah. Jams. Toxic.
Just a quick one. I just wanted to point out he's a lovely man in many ways. Right, my jams of choice are... Okay. Because Jim, you're a foodie, right? This is your. Okay. Strawberry and chili.
Okay. It's very Jamie Oliver. It's very Jamie Oliver. I don't like it.
Okay.
All right. It's not a combination. Yep. But some people play Stormcast, so that's okay. We can accept it.
They do. Pineapple and ginger.
You know what?
Pineapple. I just don't think you should make pineapple jam. It's just not a thing that you should make in a jam.
I think pineapple should be on everything: pizza, jam, your cousin's dog.
I'm over 2 right now. The jam.
Okay, I actually don't know what this is. So cherries and Rioja PDO or PSO.
Is that Rioja?
RIOJA.
Okay, is cherry anything good? Because like I feel like cherry everything's awful. Even cherries are like fruit cherries are even fruit cherries I don't like. So
glazed cherries. I don't know. Okay, all right. So real quick, Applebrook Cottage. I don't even know what.
Is that a jam made out of a small English house? Is that what that is? They were just like, yes, this is Applebrook Cottage, and we're going to grind it up and add some horse hoof, and there you go.
Did Jacob make these, or is it like a company that sends them?
A company that sends them every month. Sangria?
Oh, I like that.
Oh, damn.
That's my jam. That's my jam.
That's my jam.
Yeah.
And then finally, blueberries and carver.
I don't know what that is, but I like blueberries.
Okay, all right. Well, Tom, I'll let you pick one for me to eat, and then we can get back on with the conversation.
I kind of want to go for that strawberry and chili one, because I don't know why you'd put chili in the strawberry, but I'm intrigued.
I'll give this
I want the pineapple. That sounds like a cocktail without the alcohol in it. Speaking of cocktails, I finally finished my jug. So now, in the time-honored Canadian tradition, I'm going with White Claws, because there ain't no laws on White Claws.
I finally run out of wine after drinking it all day.
I literally drank one of those at a park bench yesterday. On a park bench at the Olympic Village in front of the liquor store.
It's classy. That's the way to live your life. At least it wasn't a
what
parking
happens if you
lot.
stab your White Claw?
What?
Then I'd have to drink it all out of the bottom at the same time. But I'm not there yet. Not with all of this electrical equipment around me.
Yeah. Can I just say that this... Oh, go on, Dan. Sorry, after you.
I was going to say the one thing is that, like, obviously, like from here, everything I hope looks relatively schmick and professional. There are so many exposed cables around me, just so many. It's like one day, one day that's it's just all the private messages. One day I'm going to roll backwards over a line, and you'll just see me stiffen up, and then the screen go black, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, okay, so he finally hit the lightning part of his job." So yeah, that's why I'm very careful with liquid. Just like don't drop it.
Looks like I was right about the jams based on Rob's face.
Yeah, the chili jam is woo. That's interesting. Can I also just say one of my favourite things from this stream is that in 2 weeks' time, when I call Dan, Jim will also somehow be in the room with him. Anyway, all right. Jim, to take you through some of the questions that have gone today. First one that's come up is, what's your highlight? A highlight from the past year. It can be anything. Your choice.
For myself?
Yeah.
This will sound like kind of weird, but like a lot of people like got fat over COVID, and I got skinny. So like I lost about 30 pounds over the COVID year. So I've been very excited. I was very happy with myself that like while everyone was getting fat, I managed to get skinny. So I was happy about that. So now don't get me wrong, I've gotten fat again since then, but we're working on that. So
that's a nice vibe. I asked you both, Dan and Tom, this earlier. Did you have any other thoughts of it since then, or I
feel like my blood pressure has risen over the course of COVID, which I know isn't a good thing most of the time. But like, you know, like the new Lumineth double release in 6 months, all that kind of stuff there. But if my blood pressure has risen due to an increased amount of rage in my system, that means that I've started to feel again. And I think if COVID's been good for anything, like me actually getting close to being a human being and having real life people emotions is a good thing. So sure, shorter lifespan, but then again, not an automata. So I'm going to give that a big old tick. I've learnt to feel.
Big ticks. Big ticks. I love I keep looking up to see, I keep seeing on the overlay it says new subscriber, and I keep being like, oh, I need to thank someone in the chat, and it's just still going, which is...
So, for context, I screen grabbed it. We smashed a level 5 hype train by 427%, and there were 60 subscribers.
Oh, well, you guys are lovely. Thank you so much. Big tick energy is what we've got.
Big tick energy. That's what we have now.
Yeah. All right, Jim. What was the favorite thing you've painted in the past year?
Oh God. I painted a lot. Like I paint a lot, and I feel like I painted a lot. I'm just trying to think. It wasn't my Death Guard, because as much as I love my Death Guard, it's been awful to paint. It's like I have not enjoyed any of it.
A lot of
It's
detail.
been just a slug. I did. What was I painting mostly last year? I painted I painted a full Soul Drinkers army and played exactly one game with it, and then put it away. When did Abaddon come out? Was that last year?
Last year, yeah. Like
March, or was it the year before?
Time? No,
was it the year before?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same problem as James earlier trying to pick models. Definitely the year before, mate. 100%, because I saw it on my tabletop. He was making countless shows, remember? Yeah.
I
do remember
that was before.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a hard question.
He was 2019.
Yeah. Come on, mate. Step up.
Oh, my Ragnar Blackmane conversion for my Soul Drinkers.
Did you
it was the model that's
dumb rock, by the way.
No, he's still jumping off the dumb rock. But it was the model that pushed me the most as a painter. Like I generally like to paint at a high level, and like I do, but I paint generally for playing. I don't like to spend too much time on models. But this was a single minute. This is probably the most time I've spent on a single miniature, like a good upwards of like, which is still, I think you were mentioning earlier the Spanish and like Italian painters who are like sublime. Like it just melts my mind. Even as someone that like feels like I paint at a pretty high level, when I look at their stuff, I'm like I just don't understand it. I'm like, it's just beyond me. But anyways, yeah.
The one that hurts me with them is how casually they paint incredibly. They're just like, oh yeah, so this is just one I'm going to knock together right now live on stream. And then they like do something, I assume like burp, and suddenly they're like, and there you have it. And you're like, how? How is it okay that you can paint that well, that fast, while I'd still be waiting for my spray paint to dry?
You know that classic Simpsons skit with the makeup shotgun?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what they do, and they just like produce a golden demon miniature. It's so easy. They're so good at that, man.
They are so good. Like I know that you're seeing years of years of practice, but I think also one of the things that they do well is they practice well. If that makes sense. Like a lot of what I do is I just bang paint on models to get them done, like without really knowing like really what my process is. But I think what some of those people do is they watch intently and they plan it out, and then they go through the process. Like Jim, like with your Death Guard, you've just done the same thing over and over again, right? Like so you've just got better at that. So if ever you were going to do that process again, you would just be pretty great at it, right?
Right. Well, I think to your point is like I very rarely spend the time on a model for the purposes of improving my paint skills. It's generally like I paint at a certain level, and I have to consciously apply or consciously say, okay, I want to work on this technique that I'm not good at, and practice and get better at it, and that essentially makes me a better painter. But for the 99% of the stuff that I paint, I'm very pleased with the level that I paint at, and I don't feel like I need to like really work hard at that. Like it's very easy for me to do. Whereas I think with like some of these artists, like, and I think it just in general, the really good painters, every model for them is like, how do I get better at how do I, and you said I think you said it, like your practice, you're actually practicing something for some outcome. You're trying to improve, right? Like it's not just doing it kind of by rote, which is mostly what I do. So
yeah, okay, yeah, fair points. Can I just shout at Dolthgar Sojath in the chat? Big up, loads for joining us. Right, okay. Favorite thing released over the past year?
Oh, I sucked at this one.
Do you want a mulligan? Do you want to re-go?
Like I would, but I feel like I'm just going to screw it up and pick shit from 2019 again. I think I've been living under a rock. Is there an archive where I can just scroll through every release for this year so I can
I do feel like someone like needs to be the person who collates that though. Like especially as importantly end of year rap shows. A lot of content creators out there in the world now. Let me tell you that my favorite time is if we get towards New Year because I'm like, oh baby, I don't have to do any work. I just got to talk about what's happened in the past year. This is an easy one. Look at today's an example.
So does it? Yeah. You meaning model, right? Like favorite model released?
It could be anything. Model, rules, app. If you love the 40k app.
The Age of Sigmar FAQ. Not for the FAQ, but for the jokes and the joy that it has brought us since at its expense. That's I'm going to go with the AOS FAQ. Thank you for many years of the joke, not enough data.
Yeah, forever.
This is this is maybe a cheating answer, but I'm very into the like I'm a big like lore wonk. Like I like to read the books, and I've been really enjoying the Siege of Terra series from Black Library. Like the last, I think maybe 2 books have released last year, 2 or 3 books they released in that series, which for Black Library for a single series seems like quite a fast release pace for those authors. So I don't know if they're just trying to like move on from it, but I've really enjoyed. I just finished Fury of Magnus, which is like the last, kind of like the final book where he's really featured heavily in the Horus Heresy, is for what it seems, and some of the other Horus Heresy books that they've released, like Saturnine, whatever. They've been really good. So I've really enjoyed those, and I love the audiobooks. So being able to listen to those, the narration is really top notch as well. And I just finished, and I won't spoil anything. I just finished re-listening to Pariah and Penitent, which are the two.
Love that series.
And like they literally like they're 12-hour audiobooks. I burned through them in a week. I couldn't stop listening. They were so good, and they're narrated by because it's the main character is a female, and so it's narrated. It's the first time I've listened to an audiobook that GW's released where the narration is female, and it was excellent. It was unbelievable. So highly recommend it. And the twist at the end of like one thing, and this is I'm just gonna go on a side tangent, but Pariah was released 12 years ago, so I don't think I read it at the time, or maybe I did. I can't remember because it was so long ago. And when I re-listened to it again, I was like, God fucking damn it! Dan Abnett left the cliffhanger at the end of Pariah is like you're like oh my God. And then you're like, people had to wait 12 years for him to resolve the cliffhanger, and then there's an equally big, insane cliffhanger at the end of Penitent. And I'm like, oh my God, I swear to God, if I have to wait 12 years, I'm going to go murder Dan Abnett. Like, I cannot wait 12 years. Like, it's just too much.
I'm halfway through Penitent, actually. I was listening to it while I was doing some painting the other day. So good. Yeah. And I mirror you, actually listening from a woman's perspective, or just at least a female voice. It was quite nice. I think I was listening to... Is there a lady in Saturine as well? Or like, no, one of the Custodes ones, actually. I think it was Valdor has got a lady narrator in it as well. But yeah, that's good.
So the books, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the books. Yeah. I like the lore.
I think the lore's really good. Like, and Jim is really passionate about this. My favorite thing is you're always on Twitter. You'll always tweet the author and be like, "I enjoyed this, thank you."
Well,
Go on.
one of my favorite things is the fact that I can I can interact with the authors on Twitter. Like that for me is so cool to be able to say to the artist, "Hey, this thing that you did is really awesome." And I wish GW, and I think you guys had talked about it in either an earlier show, but I wish GW did a better job of celebrating the artists and sculptors. That's why I really like I follow a few of the sculptors, and they've low key started to kind of be a little bit more like they've been like, "Hey, this is a model I sculpted," like on their personal thing. And I think that's so cool that like we can do that and like say, "Hey, this is an amazing thing." Like Darren Latham, like obviously he does great content on Instagram, like painting stuff, but also like just in general, I think that GW should they've always been in this weird thing where they hide the artists, and I do remember there was a time like where they hid the codex writers because people would literally go like forks and pitchforks and torches outside their course. Like I remember like the Phil Kelly gangs and like the people Alessio Cavator books where people were like ready to murder them because of like how bad the books were. But like so I get in that sense for like the rules writing, but like when it comes to like I have the Art of Adrian Smith, his art book, and I have Jess Goodwin's sketchbook, and it's just unbelievable. And I just wish they produced more of that, where it's like, hey, here's one of our artists, here's their book with all their art, that like just celebrating those artists. So I think it's a huge shame. And the thing that I like about the Twitter is like, and even on Instagram is I can literally say like, hey, this was an amazing book, thank you, like I really enjoyed it. And then a lot of times like Graham McNeil, he interacts with the fans. Ben Counter, Aaron Dempsey Bowden. These guys all. I've tweeted Dan Abnett like 7 times. He's never responded. But the other ones he's like he doesn't like me. But my point is like I love the fact that
it'll stick eventually.
Yeah, I love the fact that the artists and the writers are on social, and I can basically tell them so that they did excellent jobs.
Go on.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Anyways, that's my point. I guess.
No, I agree with you. We were talking a load about during the reaction reveal yesterday. We were talking about the Gravelord's book and just how actually, in my opinion, one of the most evocative things in battle tomes and codexes has been for years the art. Like the actual art. Like I think in some ways, like those front covers, like they pitch it to you. If you're like a new starter, like if you're a new guy walking into a Games Workshop, new guy, girl, whatever, like, but a new person walking into a Games Workshop, like that cover art, like, yeah, you look at the miniatures, of course, the painted miniatures, and you're like, this is this and this is this. But I do think the art is sometimes more evocative than looking at the still image, like the still miniature, right, on in some box art, because the box art is also without context. So yeah, you see the miniatures painted beautifully, but they're not put into like a background, right? Like so, like it's a vampire, but it's not a vampire against like a setting of a crypt or a grave or anything like that. It's just the vampire on its own. Right. And I sometimes like when you see the art, and I would love to see more artists credited at least. I mean, all of them, like the people that write the books. I feel like if, like, I kind of understand your point about the Matt Ward situation where he wrote bad stuff and people dogged on him. But also, well, maybe we would just end up with some more.
Point with that, I need to interject there because he actually wasn't the only one in there. It was a team of people, but everyone it was his name on the book. So when they wrote Blood Angels and Necrons teaming up to beat up some Tyranids, and when they wrote the entire Keldor Drago debacle, everyone just piled on Matt Ward.
Yeah,
and as though it was just him. It's just like, brother.
However, the flip side that I would throw to that, right, is I remember old Warhammer Fantasy, and I was in a group, a team, or whatever the hell, called #WardLife. Because every time a new book came out, we all wanted it to be written by him because it meant you'd have the most broken rules in Warhammer Fantasy.
Okay.
And so like, if you wanted to, like, yeah, he might get hate for that, but every time there was one coming out, you're like, come on, Matt Ward, like,
but we have that
single time.
Yeah, I need to pile on that because everyone thought that Matt Ward was responsible for writing the most broken books because they thought he wrote Grey Knights. Now, Grey Knights at the time in 5th edition was utterly broken and was only contested by a couple of factions. Those factions, by the way, Space Wolves, which was written by... Who wrote Space Wolves? Phil Kelly, I think, wrote Space Wolves.
Oh, Phil Kelly was bad, too.
Yeah, well, he did great books like the 2010 Drukhari book is the best book I've ever seen. And the Leaf Blower Guard list that was written by Robin Credis. So it wasn't even just a Matt Ward thing, but everyone had this like preconceived meme of Matt Ward being.
Well,
this
there's
awful writer.
also like a similar thing happening in Age of Sigmar at the minute, where we've got two guys who write, the Sin guy and the Bin guy,
and they keep releasing 2 books at the same time.
Yeah, like, and it's just like they both like we've got two guys and we like fucking know which one writes which book, and it's like, dear God. My point was though, is that maybe if they put the names on them, we'd get some accountability. Because right now, do you know what I mean? Like, you'd be like, hey man, I don't know if you need to just like double check like the wording on this. Like, maybe they'd be like, oh wait, they'd be like, oh, well, these people keep ripping on me. It's like, maybe do a better job. Like, I mean, no, never, I don't think ever have I looked through a book and gone, this artwork is disgusting. I must rage tweet about how I don't like the art. But I have definitely looked at a rule and gone, that's dumb. You're dumb. So, like,
yeah. Well,
that's
just.
Go
ahead.
I was just going to say, I remember, I think it was a book, maybe 2 books ago, with the Game of Thrones, the Song of Ice and Fire stuff. People were tweeting, what's his name that writes them? Gosh, I can't remember. George R.R. Martin. And they were like, when's the book coming? When's the book coming? And then he just replied to one with, for every time someone asks me this, a Stark dies. And I was like, can you imagine if you were like, you knew that he was working on your next book, right? Like, let's say when Lumineth get their next book in a month or two's time, I think that seems to be their release rate, right? Like every 6 months. So we should see another Lumineth book before the end of the year. Yep. And someone goes like, hey, so is this going to be the last book? Or when are we going to see more battle kangaroos or whatnot? And he just replied with like, for every time you ask me this, I make the most vital unit you bought 60 of in the last book useless. So someone's sitting there with like, they've got like 60 of the archers and then they're double the points and don't have mortal wounds anymore. And everyone's like, oh shit.
Don't they do that anyways though?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They do.
Just two quick last points I'll make on this, and then we can move on. But the first is when I think about why I love chaos, like if you want to see what chaos, like chaos, I've always been a chaos player. What drew me to chaos, they never ever will be able to represent on the models what they're able to represent in the art. Like when you look at chaos art, like how demented and twisted and crazy it is, you're like, they could never make models of that. And so the true horror of chaos, I feel, is only represented in the art. It's the only place where you really see what like they try to describe in a lot of the books. And but like on the models, like, I mean, okay, so he's got some pustules, okay, cool. But in like the art, it's like taking it to like 30. They ratchet up the craziness. And then the second thing, and I don't know who you had on earlier with the Gandalf fetish,
James.
James.
Now I've got into a fetish I love, by the way.
But I was thinking, I want to go look at them. I was like, oh, what is it? I got to go see this Gandalf model as he brought it up. And I went on the website and it hit me as I was clicking on Middle Earth Strategy Battle Game that the Lord of the Rings, which is like one of the most popular IPs in the entire world, probably most well-known, millions and millions of books sold, is the third most popular IP that Games Workshop has a game for. Right? So like this, and I was like, hey, what they do Lord of the Rings, why couldn't Games Workshop do Star Wars or some other like big IPs? And the thing is like, because the 40K and AOS lore is like so much better. Like the background for 40K and AOS is like, well, I mean AOS, fantasy and AOS. Okay, I'll lump them together.
Go on, Jim.
But
let's fight about that.
AOS, but I guess my point is it's so much deeper, and that comes from the art and the artists and the storytellers and stuff. Whereas like something like Lord of the Rings, which I love dearly, I rewatch those movies twice a year. Extended editions.
Twice. Wow.
Yeah. Well. Anyways, I guess my point is it kind of like it was like bonkers to me that like the Lord of the Rings is their third most popular IP. Like third, like, and I was just like, what? Like that was just like Anyways, that was my.
No, I agree with you. I think one of the major issues for me with the Storyforge stuff, is that I similar to you, like I went from Warhammer Fantasy Battle. So this is my pathway through gaming in Games Workshop kind of ecosystem. It was Warhammer Fantasy Battle. They blew up the old world. I played Age of Sigmar immediately, but I was pissy for a while. So I also like mainlined Heresy for a bit. In which case, at which point I read like a ton of the Horus Heresy books, and I was just like, this is just an incredible setting, because they are like Space Marines, like Roman Centurion Legions is a great setting. Like, it's a great setting in a sci-fi universe, in a monastic cult. It's awesome. And then everything around that is just great. Is a great thing. Like, the thing is I don't think ultimately that even with 40k, we'll talk about Age of Sigmar in a minute. I don't think with 40k they've even really hit their stride until like they've got like a lead like who is mature enough to say there should be romance in this. I'm not saying it's the focus, but like they at least they allow that to be like a conversation, right? Like one of the things like in Penitent, like at the start, which like she alluded to, like having a bit of a crush on a guy. Like it's about the most you ever get, right? Like that's it. Whereas like love is like a genuine.
You got
like,
some weird shit in Fulgrim as well. That's about it.
I can't wait for the 40k like steamy romance novels in the convenience aisle.
Well,
like,
That's just Gollum's backstory.
I just more mean I still think that there are better stories to be told. That doesn't mean the romance story is the story. It's just it's part of the palette of the story. Like, and there's more to it. And I think that like, and we're still there, and we haven't even crossed into. I love books. Books are great. I've read them my whole life. Like audiobooks are harder for me for some reason. But like, I love film. I love cinematography, and you can tell that story really well. And like, and that for a game and an IP, they're not even at their stride yet. So I think Jim's point about Lord of the Rings is true, because like when because it will happen eventually, when 40k is given that like that IP push, because ultimately Game of Thrones was just like 5 good books by a guy. That's all it was. Just 5 good books. Like 40k's got 30 years of history. Like it's going to be
and
good.
a bunch of shitty books somewhere down the line as well. But
even you go back as far as like the old Gotrek and Felix novels, right? And I remember that it's brutal, but the 2 moments that stand out for me were like back-to-back books. One was where Felix falls in love with this woman in the middle of nowhere, and he's genuinely like stressed about telling Gotrek he's not going to be following him, because he's like, is he just going to rage and cut my head off, or will he just be disappointed in me, which will be worse, blah, blah, blah. And then when, spoilers, but it's like a 20, 30-year-old book, so if you haven't read it, suck it. And then she ends up getting killed, and it's heartbreaking. Like, it's genuinely devastating that you're like, holy shit, like that's brutal. But it's like this kind of like the fact that love exists and like lives and dies really fast is really, really cool. Or the same like in the Eisenhorn stuff, it's pretty quickly dealt with, the fact that like he, you know, the two of them kind of have feelings, but it's the feelings between someone who's a psyker and someone who's a blank. So they can never really be together. And you're like,
it's literally,
oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like Romeo and Juliet, but instead of just people being grumpy and having feelings, you physically cannot be near each other without being violently ill. You're like, oh my God, stop it. Just make me feel again, Dan Abnett.
And I think one of the things I love about that series is like, you often think, you know, like obviously Eisenhorn's a bit of a radical, but I don't think he did anything wrong, much like Magnus. I think the thing is like you always think like, well, had that not been the case, had they been able to like do that, would he have maybe gone on a different path? You know, like there's a tragedy on like how dark he goes, and a lot of it has to do with like kind of those kinds of things that happen to him. Anyways, but I could talk about Eisenhorn and Ravner and all those.
Oh my God, love those books. So. And Gaunt as well. Anyway, please release the new Gaunt's Ghost book. If anyone has contact with him, tell him to release.
No. Next Beckwith novel. Don't leave him alone. Dan, I'm not afraid.
12 years. 12 years.
Sit down.
12 years.
Think about what you're doing, not about what you're done. You think about what you're doing.
I want to see that tweet from you, Jim. Dan Abnett, if you fucking dare make me wait 12 years. Right. Okay. Have I asked? I don't even know. So that was somehow off favorite painted model. Fuck. No, that was our favorite interaction on the internet, right? Was that tweeting?
Yeah. No, that was favorite release.
Oh, okay. So I'm doing really well. Okay. So what do you think the most valuable thing you've learned over the past year has been?
I think I guess I don't know. Like I feel like for me personally, like I feel like this is, I don't know, wargaming in general is something that I've done for a very long time, and only really in kind of the last 3 years since I started playing 8 has like, I don't know how to describe this without sounding silly, but like I kind of feel like the broader community is something that I really only felt like a part of in the last few years, and especially with COVID, I feel like I've never met Tom in person, but I feel like like I feel like that there's that like friendship. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
we
know I
just
met
started.
you. I met you.
Oh, sorry, you
Yeah.
go for it. It's
And
fine.
I met you, Rob, before, right, in person, and I've met a lot of the guys, and like I feel like the not seeing people at events, not seeing people like, and I had a crazy amount of travel in 2019. I think I went to something like 27 of GTs or events, like over, like I was every other weekend I was traveling, and I'm in Canada. So when I say traveling, it's not like going to events in England where you drive 20 minutes, like sometimes 4, 6, 7 hour trips just to get out to an event. So it was like a lot of travel. And I think the thing that I've learned last year is like the events it's like bigger than the events, right? Like the community is bigger than the events. It's like so much more than that, I guess. And I don't know. I'm having difficulty articulating, but like I've felt closer to the community last year going to 0 events than I ever did the year that I did like 27 events. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude, I met Neil Kerr online as well. Like most of the people that I met online first. Like we met by bullying people on competitive 40K, like and having similar mindsets, and it was very funny. Like, and it I don't know. Like a lot of the community just meets online anyway because you know you're going to meet these people in the flesh at events. And
I think you also hear about people as well, right? I'm hoping that's why I did today. Like the process of today was to like. Not that I think any of you need humanizing. I do feel like sometimes when people present content, they present content like almost too clinically. Like not overly. It's a lot of like presentation. And I think one of the things that's nicest, I guess, about wargaming often is that there's a level of honesty over the tabletop. You just being yourself. Like, and also you can play, like you understand someone as well. Like, Tom, you're a maniacal predator. That's how you act on the tabletop.
Understandable, Although, can you please be careful about terminology, seeing as I work in a school? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Wait,
but
they allow you around children?
Yeah, that's online.
It's fine. You just have to make sure that there's a word before predator.
Yeah.
Like as long as there's always another word.
Great though.
No, it's
maniacal
not.
is fine. Maniacal is fine. Like I like that. Like there's a whole bunch of people you could throw into that category, which I think are brilliant. And you're in there, but then Dan is the same. And I think one of the things about like a show like this, and hopefully shows and the people that we've had on today, is you understand that. Like, I would hope you could watch through the whole of today, and you could see how different every sort of person is, and like what their interests are, and what's different, and what they find valuable over the past year. And you can understand that the community is made up of a very disparate group of people who, for some reason, are obsessed with the price of Blood Knights. Other than that, like, I don't know why, everyone, that was a key feature from today. But the point is that I think that there's lots to unpack about the people in the hot community, but the community itself is always the key point, as hilarious as it is.
Well, that's how we met, Rob. Like, I don't know if you remember this, but it was many, many years ago at I think it was the first 100+ player CanCon. Which for Age of Sigmar, which was like 120 players or something like that, and it was all the predictable ones that you'd like getting in the top spots. And then I can't remember completely, but I think I made top 5 with Dispossessed, and I just remember getting a ton of messages from people being like, "What the fuck?" Because no one could give two shits that the broken filth came in first and second, but it was when the stuff that it was like, no. That's a grammatical error. But then you meet people like that, or then I've met other people who absolutely pushed my poo in. I was like, oh, okay, yep, all right, shebang-a-bang. That was a rough time. And then we've made really good mates, right? Based on sometimes there are experiences where it's all friendly, sometimes there are experiences where I've had times where we didn't get on the first time, and then down the track we became thick and fast mates. And I think that's the cool thing about War Dollies, is that you meet people like through all different kinds of stuff, like whether it's gaming, painting, chatting, whatever, abusing each other on Twitter, and you can find these wonderful spots where maybe there was someone you thought was a bit of a shitto, and it turns out they're a legend.
My three current favorite Twitter, like 40K bros specifically, is Tom, Jim, and Innes. Like whenever those three start getting onto something, I'm all in. I open up every.
The other day. It was fantastic.
It's funny because I don't want to say I was ever ashamed of it, but I just never really used my Twitter for like, it's mostly most of the channels I follow is politics, and a few of my friends who like, I think they know I play Warhammer, like kind of like on the just on the ancillary, but like they don't really know much about it. But then they start seeing like my 40K convos, and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like they're just like,
because
it's all everyone can just all They're like, what are you even going on about? Like, it's totally like nonsensical.
I mean, but there was
And
one. Sorry, you finished, Jim. I'll
I was
tell
gonna
the
say, then
story.
the next tweet is like something about like super political. It's like this like
Yeah.
weird like contrast between my like political and like stuff, and then like 40K like mixed in there, and people probably just think I'm a psycho.
Oh, fine. So I remember one instant. I think we were talking about something like it was literally me, you, and Ennis talking about something about 40K. It was something about the merits of like competitive play or something, and then some dude just flies in, and we all stop arguing with each other and all just pile off this one guy. It was really sad.
This is a bitchy catfight between us three. Don't you jump in here. And Dan, I echo your
It wasn't a
sentiments.
small account. They had like 2 3K followers, but just come in. It was like, nah, fuck off, straight on. Brilliant.
And Dan, I mirror your thoughts. Like, it was lovely meeting you all those years ago, and I value that loads. All right, so not long left on the clock. Jim, any shout-outs for some content out there that you like to see or you like to absorb that's not, obviously, this show? Like some stuff that you think's good, like that you're enjoying, or whatever you like.
It's weird because I used to listen to a lot of 40K like podcasts and stuff, like competitive podcasts. I don't actually like that stuff. It's too much like hot takes these days for me. Like too many things. I feel like I listen to less of that. One thing that I have really been enjoying is, and this is going to be a weird like thing, is like time lapse art. Like people that are like really good artists doing like time lapses. And you see that process, and I've been watching a lot of that both on Instagram and on YouTube. There's like a lot of like really insane that do like almost like photorealistic digital art, and they do like time lapses of it. And it's something that I can't remember any of the channels offhand, but that's been something I've actually been really enjoying. And that's the same thing with like the Spanish Italian artists. It blows my mind when I watch them. Obviously, it takes them a while to do, but in like a 3-minute, you see them go from like a white thing to like something that's photorealistic, and it just like melts my brain. I'm just like, so that's a cool thing that I've been consuming that I enjoy these days. But
Okay,
yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah,
a weird
I love
one.
that stuff. All right, well, it's been a delight, you three. Thank you very much for the past hour. I can't thank you enough, and to everyone who's tuned in live for the whole day or even bits of the day. Obviously, it's been a very kind day. Everyone's donated lots of money and gift subscriptions and a bunch of other stuff. So thank you to all of you who have been there and done that. Like Hydro Homish, who's just donated a gift subscription. I appreciate all of you and everyone who's been on the stream today. I was hoping, and I think it's been a bit of a success. And Colaru, thank you also for gifting a gift subscription. I think it's been a bit of a success in showing that a lot of the hosts and a lot of the people that have been on the show today, that the community is just genuinely wonderful. Like, it's been charming, in my opinion, to listen to you three and everyone else who's been on the show today, and to hear all of this really, like, just really humanize like these people. So thank you. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So that's it. There's not really much else to do other than go raid someone and make someone happy. That's what we're going to go do. So I think. So you've got a couple of choices.
Okay.
So these are the choices. We can raid a lady that does a load of painting, and she's Irish, but she's got a lot of people watching her. Or we can go and find someone who's not got a lot of people watching them and like make them laugh. Which would you?
Yeah,
I feel like we do the latter.
yeah, I always agree. Let's help out the little guys.
Let's help out the little guys. So we could go Scottish again like yesterday and go to the Heretic Scot. How's that sound?
Sure.
But I mean, heretics. That's up there.
I like the sound of heretics.
Yeah.
Heresy.
Okay. Let's
I
go.
like the sound of that heresy.
Okay. Let's go to Heretic Scott. Thank you everyone for the whole day. You've all been amazing. And I'll see you all tomorrow with Owen Jackson. I did it. You guys are great.
Well,
thanks for the great
one.
day.
Thanks for having me on, Rob, and congratulations on. So, have you really been streaming every day for a year?
369 days.
Are you gonna stop at some point here?
Never.
Like,
I'm never stopping.
No, like, are you gonna? I can't believe that video that you guys posted in between. I was like, holy shit, the channel's changed in a year. Like, it's gone through, and it looks. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I was like, God, like, it's gone through so many, like it's improved so much over time. So it's, I don't know if that's.
I think I've spent all of my time over the past 3 years focusing on making the live coverage look good. So
Rob, we're still streaming, bro.
I know, no, it's okay.
Okay,
I've got a countdown on the raid, so I'm keeping an eye on it. Is making the live coverage look as good as possible, and then caring less about. Like, not caring less, it's just I only have so much time. And so now I've had time to focus. We really want to do a bit of a channel rebrand, but more on that in the future. You guys have been great. I'm going to cut to a holding screen now. We're going to go raid. Let's go make that person happy. Loads of love, and see you tomorrow.
Get your raids in the chat, guys.